we did get an internet comment almost immediately that was like, Microcosm really understands who their audience is. And then it was a photo of the box. And then they had an animated gif of a cat dancing on top of the box.
Nice.
And I was
nice. They're hired.
I was like, that is flattering, because like they respect and realize that those were intentional choices and that it wasn't like born of us, that it is about them. Hi, I'm Joe Beal, the founder and CEO of Microcosm Publishing. I'm also the author of A People's Guide to Publishing, which distills what I've learned from selling millions of books over the past 28 years.
I'm Ellie Blue, the Vice President of Microcosm. We started this podcast to share what we've learned with newer publishers, so you can learn from our mistakes. Or maybe you just want to learn about the publishing industry.
This week, we bring you breaking news in the publishing industry.
Well, we've packaged up some exciting news for you to open and enjoy.
Oh, that is better. I should have gone with that. Any other edits for me?
As this episode unfolds, you'll see what we're talking about.
I feel like I need a container to hold all of my thoughts and feelings that I'm experiencing right now.
Well,
do you have any in mind that I might reach?
I really have a cutting insight.
And this brings us to our breaking news that we have a new box. We made a custom box.
So proud. We're proud box parents. What do you want to say about this box, Joe? Joe designed the box.
I had my moment where, so we were working with Uline, who is like who controls essentially the warehouse supplies industry. Like they're really the only game in town for things like tape or boxes or packing material, things like that. And it's not an exaggeration to say they are a virtual monopoly on all those things. And our number one customer complaint was that it would say that our boxes came from Uline.
And Uline does, I believe, donate to a number of incredibly conservative causes.
Calling them causes and conservative is very polite. So,
Uline is like a supporter of fascism in the United States.
Yes, I think in their ideal world that would have happened already.
So it doesn't really match our brand.
But that part besides, I had known for years the boxes were a loss leader at Uline, and I knew this mostly because anybody else that we talked to were 4 to 5 times the price. And then at a trade show, I met a sock manufacturer who said, well, you know that Uline makes all their boxes at International Paper, right? And you can get
International Paper
boxes from International Paper for the same price that you get them for from Uline, right? And I was like, I did not know that. Thank you for telling me that. And then he kind of quickly threw it in as almost an aside. And you can print whatever you want on the box for the same price that you were paying for it to say Uline on the box.
And I think that's Joe's love language. You can print whatever you want on the whatever.
Well, as we'll learn, this was not actually true.
Well, one step of the story at a time.
Speaking of America being too conservative for Joe Beal.
Well, okay. I'd like to take the readers on a tour of the box before we go on. Okay, so
it has a top.
On the top flap, there's a picture of Arthur, who is our Cleveland warehouse manager, Drew's kitten. And there's our logo, and Arthur is saying, these look fun. Can we open this box next?
I think you completely failed to mention that Arthur is wearing a bow tie.
Arthur is also a very formal cat. And then on the side panel, we have our logo again, and it says, open immediately for maximum enjoyment. Fresh, life-saving books inside. And then on the bottom panel, we have this very silly photo of our editorial manager, Olivia's cat, Walter, who was sitting in a very silly manner, and the picture went viral and is now an emoji on our Slack, and Joe licensed Walter's likeness to print on these boxes. And on this box, which was printed in Beaverton, Oregon, it says, all cats appreciate books, which
they do.
I mean,
They also appreciate boxes, but they appreciate books even more. This is maybe a rare fact.
it is true. So this very uncontroversial statement was made to replace the original box design, which is what's printed on our Ohio boxes.
And so I think let's not bury the lead here. Walter has an enamel pin as well that says experience every emotion. And this was motivated by the day that we found Walter on the bottom of the box urinating on an Amazon logo while saying, "What? I have politics too." Which it is printed on all of our boxes that ship out of Ohio. In fact, that photo is perfectly replicated.
Yep, the Ohio plant didn't bat an eye. They were like, "These are great."
They actually sent us quite a few compliments about the design, and they were very entertained by it. I imagine if you're in the box printing industry, you probably see a lot of lackluster box art. Not to
cast shade on other box manufacturers.
Well, I think it's more like, and I experienced this too when I went to our staff and I was like, okay, we can literally print whatever we want on our box. Please tell me your best ideas. And people are kind of like, sent me ellipses in response. And I was like, anything we want. And then, you know,
you were the one with the ideas.
People wanted like sort of like sounding board, like internal jokes kind of things. And I was like, it doesn't really work because they don't know, like they don't work in our company. So like they don't know the jokes that we make to each other, you know? And so I came up with this out of that because I was like, okay, what is like, all of our customers, literally all of our customers have some sort of like contentious relationship with Amazon. So like that makes sense for them. All of our customers appreciate books and would be entertained by the idea of life-saving books. All of our customers would, you know, maybe not appreciate cats, but like could understand that like some aspect of their
cats are always a good meme.
People they know do. And, you know, and it's like, it's playful and fun. While I did see, somebody else has a, and I haven't investigated this, but they have a similar box that I saw since I designed ours. And it did make me wonder if ours inspired theirs or if we both kind of arrived at these, conclusions similarly, where their box is a little bit less of a forceful language, whereas ours says open immediately for maximum enjoyment, but open immediately is in bold and for maximum enjoyment is not. And then fresh life-saving is not in bold, whereas books inside is bolded. So it says open immediately, books inside is the bold. And whereas theirs said something to the effect of like, open fast if you want to because it contains books. And you're like, these are probably true statements, but it's just like less forceful, and they kind of took the playfulness out of it. They like made it a little more.
They didn't have a cat peeing on the Amazon logo on theirs, I bet.
Well, not everybody has a cat peeing on the Amazon logo in their home.
We don't have that in our boxes in Portland. Why is that?
Oh, because when we sent it to the manufacturer here, we have separate plants that print the separate boxes. They came back with, I don't think they would print that.
Oh,
and
Oregon.
Then I
Progressive Oregon, take that. Huh.
And I think this kind of tells you everything you need to know about the difference in politics between Ohio and Oregon. Yeah. As much as like you would think it's the opposite,
nope. This
is kind of how it is. It's like Oregon is the live free or drive state, but there's a lot of like, allow me to give you a lecture about how I would do that differently nestled into that. And then while Ohio is a bit like, oh, that's how you want to do things? All right, cool. Carry on.
I feel like Ohio is also very like pro-labor, pro-union.
Right.
Like, you know, it's more of a purple state than Oregon, but it's also more of a worker-led state, whereas in Oregon, it's a little bit more like, don't say anything too extreme.
Right, and then the other thing is, like, Ohio is a lot more of a populated state than Oregon. Oregon has like deserts and like wildly depopulated areas. And so you would, that like changes things.
I do suspect that if the Oregon people had been slightly more savvy, they would not have printed All Cats Appreciate books. But we won't be the ones to tell them. And if you're watching this podcast, International Paper Workers of Oregon, don't tell anyone.
You did a great job.
Thank you for printing our boxes.
You printed boxes. Everyone I've looked at has been correct. And it is a box, and it contains printing. So we put our books in those boxes.
Thanks for joining us once again.
Please send your questions to podcast@microcosmpublishing.com so we can answer them on future episodes.
And please give us 5 stars on iTunes and everywhere else that podcasts are reviewed.
You can find us on the internet at microcosm.pub,
On Twitter at Microcosm,
on Facebook at Microcosm Publishing,
on Instagram at Microcosm_pub.
and here in Portland, Oregon on North Williams Avenue.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful week.